Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I'm Tyler Lemasters. I've got Jango. He's a musical artist based here in Spokane,
Yes, sir.
hip hop artist. What's up, man?
Hey, man, thank you for having me here, yo.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so originally, I was born in Connecticut as a military brat. So I did
Yeah.
a lot of traveling around, mainly more on the East Coast. Um, Ended up residing out on the West Coast over in Bremerton,
Yeah.
around from like 6 to 11. And then my
Mhm.
grandfather retired from the Navy, and we ended up retiring here in Spokane because my grandmother loves the Four Seasons. So Spokane ended up becoming, well, technically kind of like my first and final home. This is where I
Yeah.
grew up as a teenager. This is where I grew up as an adult. This is where,
Yeah.
you
You
know.
said you moved here when you were 13, so you've been
Yeah.
here for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. All through most of grade school, so all middle school, all high school.
For sure.
All my like first like real friends, and when I say real friends, it's like before Spokane. When I got to see friends, it was like anybody who was on my block. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
Spokane is the first time I get to venture past
First
the
people that
block.
you really feel like you connected with and you
Oh,
like
first time I ever
understand.
went to somebody's house, like and hung out. You know what I'm saying? Before
Yeah.
that, didn't really get that many opportunities to do so. We were
For
always
sure.
traveling. Like every year, we were going to a different place.
We have that in common because I'm a military brat too, and I moved here. You moved here when you were 13. I
Yeah.
moved here when I was 14.
Mm.
So yeah, I feel that.
I got a one-upper on you, baby.
I know,
Come
I
on,
know.
Spokane native over here, baby. What's up?
And people talk like we're not natives or something like that, but I do think military kids need to be considered natives in Spokane because there's so many of us out
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
And I can totally like respect the perspective because a lot of people from Spokane, it's crazy. Like if they're born and raised here, they've never been outside of Spokane.
true.
And that's like a weird thing that I'm starting to understand from people. Like,
Yeah,
not even Seattle. They're like, not even Seattle. I'm like, dang, we go there.
or Seattle's like the only place they've been.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're a musical artist. You're a
Yes.
hip hop artist.
Yeah.
How long you been doing that?
Professionally since 2017. January 1st of 2017, I left my job and I decided to make what was once then a hobby more of a career, and I took it
Okay.
seriously from then on.
Yeah. Yeah. How's it been going?
I haven't had to step back into a 9 to 5 life since. You know what I mean? So something
Jeez
we're
Louise.
doing must be right. The team has
So
been.
this is your full time thing.
Oh, period.
Yeah.
Period. This
Yeah.
is all we think
That's
about,
good.
aside from girls and the normal life. But yeah, no, this is all we think about, and the team
Yeah.
is continuing to grow. We're continuing to identify, just more people who could like either assist us or just allow us to continue our path. So
Yeah. Well, I found you through a friend, Riker, and I've been following you a little bit. You just came out with a new music video, merchandise.
yes,
Super good.
yes.
Actually, it's two music videos basically. It's a visualizer and then the official music video.
So
right?
the visualizer is actually a new concept that's been happening on YouTube. So it's more of a like, I would call it more of like a small. It just takes like a couple clips from the video and kind of just gives you a small essence. It's something you really don't gotta overthink.
It's a vibe.
Or just
a vibe.
enjoy and not even really look at.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's the scenery, that's the look. But yeah, we did drop the visualizer a week before on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then we dropped the music video for merchandise just recently this last Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, and it features one of my favorite artists from the Seattle side, Sam Chow.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason that was so important is because like being from Spokane, being from the second largest city in Washington, a lot of people, well, basically everybody in Washington overlooks this city. You
For
know
sure.
what I'm saying? So
In every way,
in every way,
not just
absolutely.
with music, but
absolutely.
with industry,
Yeah.
with even our colleges. I mean, we've got great colleges, and
Gonzaga
Yeah.
literally was ranked number one. Like y'all are
Yeah.
playing.
people
Y'all are
still don't know who
playing.
we are.
Y'all are playing.
So that kind of brings up a good point that I want to ask you, which is, do you consider yourself a Spokane artist, or do you just want to make it? Period. Because I think I see that a lot out here. Is sort of like a black hole where you're making music in Spokane,
Yeah.
and so you just want to talk about Spokane
Yeah.
all the time. How do you kind of navigate that?
So actually, before I even answer that question, I will remind you that I am a military brat, so I have more
Yeah.
of a like,
Global perspective.
yeah, absolutely global perspective. So I do recognize that Spokane is my home, and I take pride in that.
Yeah.
So if you like look at some of the aliases or names that I call myself the King of the Nine for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just to like box myself into Spokane. It's to allow Spokane to be identified. It's to create the conversation of what Spokane actually is.
Yeah.
Or more as the whole 509. That's why I don't call myself King of Spokane. I call myself King of the 9, the 509,
Yeah.
the whole east side. And so the reason I think that's important is because, again, like Seattle artists, when they're traveling through, like most artists miss this area. And this is a huge hub for
Yeah.
music. This is a huge hub for entertainment. This
Yeah.
is a huge hub for sports. But people
Mhm.
just aren't seeing that just yet. And
Yeah.
the reason I think they don't see it is because these Spokane artists and even some of the people who are on like the sports side aren't taking pride in this area and pushing it further than just I'm from Spokane. It's like, no, I'm from Spokane and I can be here with you. I can be just as great as you are. I can be just as great as you are over in California. Like
Yeah.
it's knowing what the standard is and raising the bar.
I feel like it's going to happen in the next couple of years. I really do. I've been thinking about it. I think
it's up to
Yeah.
us to make it happen. It's
Sure.
not going to just happen
Yeah.
because we're talking about it. Like we have to literally take those steps and
Yeah.
be like the pioneers to open that
Yeah.
conversation.
That's kind of why I wanted to have you on, because it's not like you're just making music. You guys are clearly focused on making like a quality product,
Absolutely.
right? A
Absolutely.
brand,
And
not
setting the
just
standard.
I'm making music and I'm putting it out. Like you're thinking about the entire process from beginning to end,
Absolutely.
and that's very Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. That's how they do it, and that's why they're able to control the industries. But the world is changing, and we have a lot of
Rapidly.
things coming here in Spokane. We got a film studio that's going to be worth, I don't know, almost $40 million. They're going to be producing movies for Netflix and big box office movies. We got people who are trying to break into like a national market or a global market with music. It's going to change, and it's easy to reach people. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's Spokane. Yeah, it's not too big of a city, so
yeah.
absolutely.
So what's the biggest challenge there, though, as far as breaking out of a local market?
I think the biggest challenge more that we deal with is like within rather than without. You know what I'm saying? Because we can always make an impression into Seattle and all these other cats, and we can always surprise them. But in
Yeah.
Spokane, it's kind of hard to get people rallied to something they've never experienced before.
Yeah.
Most of the people, like I said, they're born and raised here, so the whole idea of someone making it out of here is kind of like foreign to them.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to kind of walk them through each step. So it's a challenge, but at the same time, it's kind of like to our advantage. These are like my training grounds. I get to do a lot of practicing. I get to figure out like what works in the market and what doesn't work in the market before I hit California. So
sure.
again, it's a challenge here in Spokane, but realizing that it'll allow me to do better in the other markets where there's a lot more money. You know what I'm saying? It's a blessing at the same time.
Okay. So you're doing Seattle sessions.
Absolutely.
That's a big honor.
Absolutely.
You're out there. You're the only Spokane artist doing that. That's pretty
Absolutely.
cool. I think one of my friends did that a couple years ago. It was really great for him. And anyways, oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to ask.
I will say with the Seattle sessions, there was something I remember. They did some collaborative album a couple years ago, but this Seattle sessions is actually it's hosted and being put together by Chase Fade and Diamonds Dancing.
Okay.
And it's kind of like the first of its kind in the sense that they really pulled artists not just from Seattle. Like,
Yeah.
sure, that is the base, but it was exciting for them to recognize that there was more culture happening outside of just Seattle. Like, I may be one of the only
Yeah.
Spokane artists, but we have a couple like 509 artists that are involved. We had Nobi involved. We had Mr. DC involved. We had like great artists from the 509 Spokane Tri-Cities area that
Yeah.
got to be invited to these sessions and be a part of the project.
That's pretty
Just
cool.
like, it's amazing. It's amazing to see Seattle like giving us that nod and be like, yo, you are a part of this culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving forward with the stuff that you're putting out,
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't want to talk about it too much, but you got an album that's unnamed that you're going to be releasing.
I can't even give you all the name. I will say
But
that
can
this.
you tell us about like the concepts?
Yes.
Do you have a concept that you can talk about?
This album is so upper left. It embodies everything that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. We really want to just push the culture out and just help people understand that the Pacific Northwest isn't just like an outdoors thing.
Mhm.
Like, we have so much urban and like urban influences and things that make us so much more unique than just like California or the South or the
Yeah.
East Coast. So like this project kind of like hits that mark and identifies that, and it also
Sure.
touches on like the genres that we have out here. It has the EDM influences, you know what I'm saying? It has the rock influences. It has the hip hop. It's not just a hip hop album. It takes all of these and blends them into something that's like very unique, but also very familiar to the region as well. You know what I'm saying? And the man pioneering the production, the sound, Ben Swade, he is a platinum, he's a platinum producer.
Yeah.
And he's also like worked with a Billboard platinum produced band. I don't want to give you the name, but he has like he's been in the industry for like years. You know what I'm saying?
So
Maybe even
when
a
do you think
decade.
that's gonna actually be out?
Ooh. For you, I'll let you know that it will be coming out this year. We'll be thinking maybe, you know.
Well, that's soon.
Yeah,
This year.
Maybe early third quarter, and maybe we might even push it back. You know, like
Yeah.
Realistically, if there's no shows, I don't want to drop that project.
For
you
sure.
know what I'm saying? Because like for me personally, a lot of my music and a lot of like what I'm saying is expressed best when I'm on the stage performing it too.
Yeah.
You'll really get the best understanding. So if I can't like tour this project around, I don't want to necessarily release it. I think it won't be doing its due diligence. We've been working on this project for like the last 2 years. I haven't put out a project since 2017.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to do is drop it early. You know what I mean?
Right. You want it to be the way you want it to
Yeah. So if it's not a project coming
Perfect.
out this year, y'all definitely can expect more singles, more music videos.
Yeah.
My fans have been asking for merch for forever, so we're gonna give y'all so much more merch, and we're gonna collab with the city. We're gonna do a couple
Just
little things in
teasers.
the city here. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you do care about the city. So if we could just take a step away from the music for a sec, what is it in Spokane that you feel? What are some of our most pressing issues? You know, I think musicians sometimes they think about things
Interesting.
a little more deeper than other people,
Absolutely.
and a lot of times they're more in touch with what's going on in Spokane and what the issues
Absolutely.
are. So I don't know. What do you think are some of the issues that we're facing?
So Spokane being so close to Idaho, we definitely have an issue of people coming from that side and having to deal with a lot of racism. And so that wasn't really brought to my attention as much until just recently, this last year, with the George Floyd movement and everything that was going on. And we had the whole Black Lives Matter mural. And then to watch that being like splattered on and like painted over and like people like showing like opposition towards this message was like a real shock and like a real like, oh, this is here in our city. This is happening right now. This is occurring. So I think one of the more pressing issues that's like right now in the day is just like people's awareness of the black community here. I think it's lack thereof. I think people don't really realize like there is a culture for the people of color and that it needs to be more respected, it needs to be more understood. That's on both levels. I think it's on the majorities like they have to take it upon themselves to like really recognize like what's going on here for the cultures and like what's more than just like their own selves, their own perspective. And it's up for the black community to be seen and like to have more like group events and like to gather the people together. Cause I think some of that on our side, like it gets kind of lost in the wind a little bit. Like I don't, when I was younger, I didn't see as many of these community events for the people of color. So I wasn't aware of them growing up in Spokane, and like any like Spokane person of color who's born and raised here probably isn't aware of it either, because the schools aren't like pushing that agenda. They're not helping you understand, hey, there's this community of people who are just like you, who will like help encourage and help you educate yourself on this on the culture here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you feel like you want to gravitate towards black culture in Spokane and kind of find that community there? Or yeah, because I think the Pacific Northwest is a very interesting place.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of that that history that the rest of the country has.
Yeah.
Like that deep-seated history where if you go to Georgia or Louisiana or something like that, you got like
Deep-rooted.
history.
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
deep-rooted history.
Absolutely.
Or because we've both lived on the East Coast. It's different over there. It is. The vibe's different. It does feel like things are a little more separate. But over here, I've always enjoyed how everybody spends time with each other. Yeah. It doesn't feel like there's as big of barriers, and I've always appreciated that about like the vibe. I guess
And
I
so
always feel
say
like people
it
are more
wouldn't
loving
be
here.
barriers, but I would say there's definitely this weird I'll just call it passive aggressiveness.
Sure.
And so that's what I've dealt with all through middle school, all
Yeah.
through high school, is like people like appreciating I'm here but not understanding like me or what I'm about, or saying like subtle jokes that's just wildly inappropriate, but because it's like there's 26 people in the classroom, I'm the one black kid, even the teacher's laughing at this wildly inappropriate joke, and
Oh,
I'm
that
just kinda
someone else
forced-
said about
yeah,
you.
and I'm kind of forced
okay.
to kind of like just be in the
Yeah.
moment and be like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
So there was been a lot of that in the
Yeah.
years of just like kind of having to conform to the majority, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I definitely do believe like as we progress these next, I would say the next decade, we'll start to recognize that there is like a lot of culture for the black community. It just wasn't spoken on. It just wasn't like recognized. And I think I'm not gravitating it. I think it's my duty, my job to help be one of the pillars for the majority and for our community to recognize, yo, there is a culture. There is the POC culture is like definitely prevalent here. Like hip hop, when me and Riker were like really starting to jump into it, it was lukewarm. And the people that were representing it didn't look like me. You know what I'm saying? And not even to speak on names, it just didn't look like me. And so like, I thought that was like fairly interesting. And I literally seen the opportunities were being handed to people who didn't necessarily represent what this was.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, again, like I fully think of myself as a pillar for hip hop, for the POC community here in Spokane. Definitely.
Okay. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely.
We're really excited to see everything that you come out with. Content is really good quality.
That's what we're doing. Like the reason our quality is here is because we want to set that standard. We want people to believe hip hop is here. Like when we hit the Bartlett, there was few hip hop artists performing there, and there was few selling out. Our first show we sold it out. Period.
That's
WCB we basically sold it out. But what makes WCB, the Washington Cracker Building. So I got to headline there for Volume. And so my time slot was the same time that I'm so sorry. For record, remind me his name? Alan Stone. So I got to headline at the same time that Alan Stone was headlining, right?
That's dope.
And so 5 minutes before I was going to perform, she always tells me not to peek out and look, like don't allow the crowd to affect your mood. I look out. Nobody in the crowd. I'm the headliner and there's nobody in the crowd. 5 minutes before I'm about to perform, I'm like I'm in my head. And I think Riker must have seen it because she came up and we had our little powwow. We just do this little group thing before we go out. You know what I'm saying? We do our little prayers and we just give a little motivation and we get out there. Get the energy right. And so she was like, no matter if it's one person or 1,000 people, you're going to go out there and you're going to kill it, period.
Yeah, perform.
And what makes it crazy is because, like, I'm a very, like, animated person when I perform. So I had a whole face mask on. I had the crown with the 9s on and everything. I really did it up. And so I step out. I'm looking down, and I hear this roar of a crowd. And I'm in disbelief. I'm like, what am I hearing right now? And I look up, and the place is packed. 300 to 400 people packed. Within the last 5 minutes, they had rushed in and they had packed this venue out. What I didn't know is that we had a person at the door who had held the people until the moment I performed. So they had shocked me, and it just like made this amazing moment. But that's when I realized 2019 Volume headlining spot that hip hop was now being prevalent. Hip hop was something that people were seeking here in Spokane. But that's just like one thing I wanted to say. I just want to say hip hop is live. If any, like, the youth, if you are watching this right now and you're like, yo, like, should I do this? Should I not? Like, do it. Do it. Follow your dreams. Carve your path. And don't listen to nobody but yourself, your team, and the people who are closest to you. Like, believe in yourself because then everybody else will. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Where can people find you?
Definitely can find me on my website at www.jangolives.com. That's JANGOLIVES.com. Or if you'd like to have personal conversations, I would love to talk to you on Instagram. That's JANGOLIVES.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for watching.
Appreciate you, yo.
This is Kent Adams, and I want you to hear some of the reviews of the music of 68-year-old Spokane-based Tim Brummett is receiving from music critics around the country.
Tim's EP, The Music We Played On, is maybe one of the best records I have reviewed in the last 2 years. Logan Hurst, critic. producer at Spider Hounds Productions in New Zealand.
Tonight.
Tim is a natural songwriter. I have reviewed many songs, and this is some of the best songwriting and storytelling I have heard in a long time. Kara Kresnikoff, music producer, Nashville. Tim's The Music to Be Played On is simply stellar songwriting, and this song is one of the most inspiring I have heard in years. Beerslaver Productions, Toronto.
All night long. All night long. I believe in a midnight.
This is Loomsday in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
Welcome to Apex Plaza, Spokane's one-stop cannabis destination. Apex Cannabis features thousands of economy, value, and luxury cannabis products. Cannagear features hemp-based CBD products, glass, goods, and gear. Stop by 1325 North Division to experience the Apex difference.
This product has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risk associated with the consumption of this product. For use only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.
When building a home or considering a major remodel, who are you going to choose? The Spokane Home Builders Association is an organization that works to elevate professionalism in the residential construction industry. We promote, protect, and educate for our community, building our community one home at a time. We are the Spokane Home Builders Association.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.